Well, to talk more about this story, I'm pleased to welcome to the programme now Françoise Vergès. She is a French political theorist, a writer focused on feminism, climate change, and particularly pertinent for our conversation today, decolonisation. Hello to you and thanks for speaking to France 24.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Look, before we come on to this vote today, could you just give us a little context about why New Caledonia remains a part of France? Because I think there might be viewers who are surprised to learn that this archipelago, thousands of kilometres away from Paris, is still French territory decades after decolonisation.
Yeah, it's a very good question. You know, that so many territories in the Indian Ocean, Pacific, the Caribbean, and even South America still belong to the French Republic. It's really a very important question because that's mean, people still under a French, regime and not really deciding for themselves. It looked like the French state as it's very difficult to confront decolonization, really to accept what is decolonization. As we know, it waged war in Indochina, in Algeria, in Cameroon, in Madagascar, and every place. And it looked like effectively with Kanak in New Caledonia, which was colonized at the end of the 19th century in 1853, it's still difficult for the French state and the French government, different French government, to acknowledge the right of the people, the first people there, to have their sovereignty and their freedom.
And in the light of that context, how important, in your view, then, is the vote that's taken place today?
Well, the vote, it's also, again, the history. 1988, the first agreement. Nothing really happened. 10 years later, 1988, second agreement. And they are, saying the electoral right will be the people born before 1998. 2024, you reminded us, the huge revolt. So it's looked like, the importance today. I mean, the 24's Android police force already there. It's looked like even, it's not really, as we are hearing, peaceful if you have you need 24 police forces to look at. And also, as you were saying, a lot of Kanak very tired also of the fact that they are not given, their voice are not being heard. And we may see the victory of the settlers. And that would be really an opening against to the huge tension and conflict.
Yeah, you say that to some extent the voice of the Kanak people, the indigenous population, isn't being heard. Why then, though, when the region, New Caledonia, has held 3 referendums on whether or not it should remain part of France, people have voted yes, that they want to stay part of France? That is the Kanaks being given their voice, isn't it?
It's not really, because as you do know, even, that was in the late 60s or so, Pierre Mesmer, Minister of France, really decided to send a lot of people to Kanak in New Caledonia to change the balance of the population. And now the Kanak are a minority in their own country. They brought people from Vietnam, from Wallis and Futuna, and also a lot from France, from metropolitan France. So, the Kanak are now a minority in their own country. So by, making that, they really created an asymmetry, a structural asymmetry, and giving even to the settler, the sense, the feeling that they had the right to decide for the people, for the Kanak people, that they had the right. And so that's not decolonization.
Yeah, I want to ask you about what happened in 2024, the violence that we saw then that prompted the postponing of the election. At issue then was this plan to extend voting rights to thousands of people who are not indigenous to the island of New Caledonia. I wonder, though, given what you've been saying on the programme now, whether you opposed the idea of adding those people to the electoral roll, because, whether they came from somewhere else initially, they are residents of New Caledonia. And if we don't allow them to vote there, aren't they being disenfranchised?
Well, if the Kanak until now have been disenfranchised, they are really, the data show incredible poverty, like no future for the youth. Really, they are abandoned by the state. They are abandoned by the French state. They have not seen the, development for their own communities. So that's we cannot say that it's there's equality There is no equality on this territory. The land is not in their hand. The land was, stolen from them, has not been given back. So there is a feeling that they are occupied. And this feeling effectively was one of the reasons that they revolted in 2024, because the question, they settle there, they are resident. But the point is, if you don't look at the asymmetry of position, most of the people coming from France have a much better life, much better salary, better position, social position. So the feeling the perception of the Kanak is not wrong. It's not some kind of fantasy. They just see no job, no future, no sovereignty whatsoever.
Yes. Yeah, Françoise Vergès, there is so much more I'd like to ask you about this topic, but unfortunately we are out of time. Nonetheless, though, thank you for speaking to us here today on France 24.
Thank you for having me.
And with that,